What is going on, guys? I don't know if you guys can hear me. That could be an issue. This is what happens when Matt is not here, and I do not have an adult present. I'm going to wait until this YouTube pops up so I can see if you guys can hear me. So you're going to have to bear with me 1 second. Oh, you guys can hear me. Fantastic. Okay, perfect. What's going on, guys? I am here, TJ. No Matt tonight. He is doing some family stuff. I'd rather him, be, it is Christmas, so I'd rather him be doing this stuff now than later in the season when we actually have some concrete numbers. So I allowed him to take off today and spend time with his family. But no, hope you guys all had a fantastic Christmas Eve. Gearing up for the new year. Obviously 2020 has been a fickle one. And I hope everybody has, some big goals and, ready for 2021, ready to attack it. I'm excited for NBA. I think it's been great so far through our first 3 days. Or first 3 games of slates, rather, starting with that Tuesday night 2-game slate, Wednesday, and then yesterday on Christmas Day, which was definitely an interesting slate to say the least. Okay, yes, you guys can all hear me. Fantastic. I will not go to YouTube. So yeah, how do I do this so that I can answer your guys' questions, and then, you know what, I'm going to have to have you guys up on my phone. Bear with me 1 second. Again, this is why Matt's normally here and we have an adult. And that's really loud. Okay. So I'm going to go back. We'll do the questions later. So I want to dive into this 9-game slate, and I want to talk about some really key points. And one of those is obviously going to be the Houston pitcher. Now, we have a bunch of guys in COVID protocol being, John Wall, Eric Gordon, DeMarcus Cousins, Mason Jones, Chris Clemens, obviously out with the Achilles. That's terrible injury, so wish he's back soon. And Ben McLemore, and then who else is out? KJ Martin. So the Rockets only have a 9-man rotation, or not even a rotation. They only have 9 available guys for tonight. So this is where all the chalk is going tonight, especially in cash games, and rightfully so. So I ran numbers for the Rockets last year with Eric Gordon and Russell Westbrook off the court, and as you can see, James Harden. Now, listen, I understand Austin Rivers is no longer with the team. Robert Covington, Clint Capella, Jeff Green, even Hartenstein, and Gary Clark. But regardless, I was just looking for some concrete numbers with Gordon and Westbrook off the floor. And what we see here in 713 minutes is that Harden had a 44.4% usage rate and a 1.74 fantasy point per minute. The usage rate is just absolutely outstanding. So with James Harden at 10.9K, as I alluded to in the video that I put out earlier today, we only saw Harden. Hold on, Matt just texted. We only saw Harden less than 10.9K in 8 games last year. And I know it was, a little bit smaller of a season. But that's pretty outstanding that James Harden was north of 10.9K in every single game except for 8. And now we get him at 10.9. We have no John Wall, obviously no Westbrook because he's gone to Washington, no Eric Gordon, no Boogie, and it just makes for a James Harden usage night and the James Harden show. So definitely excited to see what he's able to do with the guys that he has on the floor with him. But James Harden, obviously at 10.9, I don't even need to continue to talk about him. He's obviously a lock for cash. And then the new addition of Christian Wood coming over from Detroit. Fantastic big man. That's go. You can hear me. Thanks, Matt. Fantastic big man, obviously coming over from Detroit. 1.17 fantasy points per minute last year. Going to be a huge role for Houston, especially with Boogie out. And that actually allows P.J. Tucker to play at the 4. So, tip of the cap to P.J. Tucker, no longer having to play the 5. Houston finally got some capable big men for him. So that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, Christian Wood at 5,900, going to play probably north of 35 minutes if Houston can keep this competitive. Love him for cash. Definitely a lock for me. And I mean, the ownership shows 43% and 56%. Now, this is for tournaments. I would assume Harden, if you're doing some single entry double ups, I would assume he's 80-ish%. Christian Wood probably going to be around 85 to 90%. But then it trickles down to these other guys. So besides James Harden and Christian Wood, where do you want to go? And for me personally, I want to go to Daniel House at 4,700. Again, him and PJ Tucker both pegged for 34 minutes. I like Daniel House's production more than PJ Tucker's production, especially with Christian Wood in the mix. I think that obviously hurts PJ Tucker's value a little bit. But yeah, Daniel House, 0.69 fantasy point per minute last year. And if we look at what he averaged with Westbrook and Gordon off the floor last year, 0.67. So you're going to get 0.7 fantasy points per minute. He can hit shots, and he can definitely knock down some threes. And if we're going to see a tight rotation, potentially between 6 guys, maybe 7, definitely love him if he's going to play around 35 minutes. I think he's way too cheap. I fully expect him to pay off his price tag. So he would be my 3rd favorite on the Rockets. I think my 4th favorite would probably be Sterling Brown at 3,200. Again, pegged for 28 minutes. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays north of 30. Coming over from the Bucks last year, 0.81 fantasy points per minute. Not really a big usage monster at 18%. Assuming he starts at the 2, definitely love him alongside James Harden. It'll be interesting to see where he meshes in with these Rockets. But for now, definitely love him at 3,200 as a cheap option. So all these other guys too, tournament plays. PJ Tucker, 1%. Love him for tournaments. Caboclo showing a little bit higher at 18%. Currently 18 minutes, so definitely more of a tournament play for me. David Nwaba at 3K, coming over from Brooklyn, I do believe, at 3K. If he's going to play 25 minutes, only at 5%, love him for tournaments. So Houston is definitely where you're going for cash tonight. And I do think they also have some tournament options. Like I said, PJ Tucker, if he's going to be 1%, I'll definitely have some shares in him in tournaments. David Nwaba as well. Take some shots with Caboclo. But for cash, I'm going Harden, Christian Wood, and Daniel House. And I could even see myself going with Sterling Brown. So I think if you have 3 to 4 Rockets, that's where you want to be in cash. You could get away with a 5th if you really want to. That's entirely up to you. I will most likely have 4, being Harden, Wood, House, and Sterling Brown. So just wanted to break that down first. That is the Houston picture. Kind of a mess. And James Harden was interviewed today, and everybody was asking about how this last week's gone. Obviously, the drama with him wanting to be traded, and now COVID, and all he kept saying is, I'm in my 12th year, I'm excited. I'm in my 12th year, I'm excited. So he doesn't want to deal with any of that BS. He just wants to play some hoops. So definitely love Harden at 10-9. On the other side of the ball, if we're going to stay with Portland, right, 8-point favorites at home, this game could blow out. It's going to fall on James Harden's shoulders to try and keep it competitive for Houston. I do like Dame at 9,500 coming back on the other side for Portland. I definitely think he has the opportunity to pay that price tag off if this game stays competitive. The only thing I am scared about is if it, kind of gets out of hand, maybe he doesn't see his normal run in the fourth quarter. Played 34 minutes against Utah. Definitely struggled from the field. Only 4 of 12. Only 12 shooting. Only 12 field goal attempts, too, which is somewhat rare for a guy like Dame. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to get back on track against Houston at home. Definitely have more interest in the Houston side because even if it blows out, they only have 9 guys. So these guys that are in this rotation are still going to get minutes regardless. Yeah, it might not be Harden playing in the fourth if it's blown out, but you could still see the likes of, Sterling Brown, Daniel House still playing minutes in the fourth regardless of the game script. So if I am going to go on the other side, I'd love to get up to Dame. And if I can't do that, then, I'm okay with that. I'm really just looking at the Houston team. So now I want to talk about the slate from every other game that we have here. I just want to check and see if the questions are coming in. Good. Look at TJ. Hey, Matt. How are you? Ban Matt. Thank you, Slothy. Love you. Okay. So it's 72 of you in here. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. I know this is a little bit jumbled. It's been a while since we've done NBA. And the one thing Matt and I really like to utilize are our spreadsheets. And unfortunately, because there's so much turnover throughout the NBA and throughout the year with guys switching teams, new rosters, what have you, it is really tough to find concrete numbers. So off the beginning, first maybe weekish, it's really just intuition going off of guys that are injured and seeing who's going to perform and who's going to have the opportunity. And once we get rolling a little bit and we have some more numbers, some more minute projections, we can really utilize that court IQ and really hone in on some fantastic plays. But right now, again, it is just more intuition, just doing the best with what we have and just trying to target games where guys are out and opportunity. So so we'll start from the beginning now. We'll go to the beginning of the games. I don't know why I did that. We'll go to select all and we'll start here at OKC and Charlotte. So we'll start with OKC. One of the lower over-unders on the slate. I think it's the second lowest behind that Cleveland and Detroit game, which we'll talk about next. I don't really have too much interest in this game. If I am going anywhere, One thing I was looking at, Al Horford at 6,100. Now, Al Horford traditionally likes or is more productive and has been throughout his career at the 5. When he was on Philly, obviously played most of his time at the 4 because of Joel Embiid. I think Al Horford, he is a little bit undersized, but his best play in his career has come at the 5, and that's something he'll be able to do here at OKC with the departure of Steven Adams. So I definitely like Al Horford as a tournament play at 6,100, and if he's carrying 21% ownership and he's going to be around 30% in cash, I wouldn't hate him as a last piece. Now, I strictly believe that this is going to be SGA's team. No Chris Paul, no Steven Adams, no Gallinari. There isn't much left here, unfortunately. There's the likes of Darius Bazley. We got George Hill coming over from the Bucks, who I'd like as a last piece in cash at 3,400. I definitely think that's somewhere you can go, especially if he's starting at the 2, which I believe we have that confirmed. We don't yet. Okay. So we want to wait and see if George is starting at the 2. But if he is, I like him as a last piece in cash, although I like the Houston value a lot more. Again, I think a lot of this offense and team is going to fall on SGA's shoulders. At 8-3, I like him as a tournament play. Wouldn't go there for cash. I have some interest in Darius Bazley. Lou Dort was definitely a surprise in the playoffs last year, especially going up against the Houston Rockets. How well he played defensively on James Harden. Not really too well. It is obviously tough to contain James Harden, but he did his best. I think he did pretty well. He had some really good shooting nights in that series as well. Look at that. His last game where they actually got eliminated, he was 10 of 21. He banked 6 threes, which is fantastic. 10 times value. So excited to see his kind of his offensive. All right, so Kevin Love and Dante Exum. Okay, so the Kevin Love, what's it called? So that's good. I'm excited to see his offense kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? Amanda, what's a word for? Doesn't matter. I want to see his develop. That's the word. I got it. I want to see Lou Dort's offense develop. So that's going to be huge, especially early on in his career coming out of ASU. So yeah, I like Horford as the last piece for cash if you have to go there. I like George Hill as the last piece in cash if you have to go there. Besides that, I'm only looking at tournaments. Charlotte, a lot of these guys got some big price. Kevin Love, Dante Exum will have their minutes limited. Okay, because I was definitely focusing in on Kevin Love to see if he was in, so that's good. A lot of these guys for Charlotte got really big price increases. Hayward up $700. I think Rozier was up $1,100. Yeah, $5,900 against Cleveland. Now it's $7K. And besides these 3, between Hayward, Rozier, and Graham, no one played over 30 minutes. Hayward played 36, Rozier 37, Devonta Graham 36. LaMelo Ball looked pretty bad in his first game, unfortunately. If I am going anywhere, it's definitely going to be Gordon Hayward. Terry Rozier obviously shot the lights out of the ball. He took 16 threes. He hit 10 of them. His usage was at a 30, which is pretty insane. I don't expect it to stay there, especially with Gordon Hayward now a Charlotte Hornet. I would expect Hayward's maybe to get up to 30, and maybe him and Rozier kind of flip-flop a little bit. 27% usage rate in his first game against Cleveland, 18 field goal attempts. That's what he was looking for and what he was not getting as a Boston Celtics. He's definitely going to have the opportunity to shine offensively down in Charlotte and, be on a losing team. So a lot of people looking at Bismack Biyombo, who is going to be starting at the 5 with Plumlee out. Zeller. So I definitely don't hate him as a last piece. Again, at 3,600. If he's going to play 26 minutes, I think he's definitely capable of paying off that 3,600 price tag. He was $3K against Cleveland. Again, a lot of those guys in that Tuesday night slate, the Wednesday night 13-game slate, very soft pricing. So a lot of the pricing has been adjusted, and rightfully so, because that night was absolutely insane. PJ Washington, I know that Charlotte wants to run PJ Washington a lot at the 5. He definitely was in foul trouble opening night against Cleveland. So it'll be interesting to see if they do go a little smaller with Biyombo. If Biyombo's off the floor, put PJ Washington at the 5 and run Miles Bridges at the 4. But regardless, outside of those guys, Gordon Hayward and Bismack Biyombo, don't really have any interest in these guys in cash. Biyombo's at 1%. I definitely think that's a mistake, and that'll fluctuate a little bit. But yeah, if I'm going anywhere, it's gonna be Gordon Hayward. Cleveland and Detroit. We just got word that Kevin Love is in. So I do not have interest in a guy like Andre Drummond. I do not have interest in a guy like Larry Nance coming off that fantastic game against Charlotte. Andre Drummond was in foul trouble, and then he just got benched against Charlotte for the last 6 minutes of that game. So that was definitely weird. So I don't really have any interest in Drummond. Yeah, he could definitely eat against Detroit, against his former team as well. So if you want to take a chance on him in tournaments, sure. But besides that, I don't have any interest in these guys. Darius Garland got a huge price bump almost 1,500. He did get 1,500 price bump. Was 4,100, now 56. Okoro at 4,400 again. $1,000 price bump even after playing 34 minutes for the rookie. So that's a good amount of minutes for him. No interest for me here. Strictly tournament plays, and if I'm going anywhere, I wouldn't mind taking a chance on Drummond or, Kevin Love at 6,500. If he's going to play 28 minutes, I'll definitely have some tournament shares on him. Detroit, one guy that I'm interested in is definitely going to be Mason Plumlee. 1.01 fantasy point per minute player in Plumlee. Played 32 minutes against Minnesota, was very efficient, 7 of 8 shooting, 8 rebounds, 33 DraftKings points. So if he's going to start at the 5, which we are still waiting on, which I would assume he starts at the 5 and can stay out of foul trouble going down low against Drummond, definitely think he can pay off that price tag, showing 30% owned right now in cash. So I definitely like him as a cash option if you are looking there. And besides that, I don't have any interest here in Detroit. Moving on to Orlando and Washington. Just want to check on the questions. OKC fan. Love you guys. Oh, I thought you said you loved me. No, you love Darius Bazley. That's fine. Moving on to Orlando and Washington. We're going to touch base on the Orlando side of the ball. There's one guy I'm looking at here for Orlando. It is going to be Aaron Gordon. Got into foul trouble early in that second half against Miami. Picked up 2 quick fouls. So unfortunately only played 26 minutes. Currently projected for 32. Could definitely see him playing 34 to 36 if this game stays competitive against Washington. I love the over-under right now at a total of 230. I definitely think this is a game I want to target in terms of tournaments. But yeah, Aaron Gordon at 6,900 going up against Washington. I think that's far too cheap. So I really like him as a tournament play as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, which is something I think he can do against Washington. Don't really have any interest outside of him. I wouldn't mind Aaron Gordon as like a last piece in cash, more of a tournament play. Definitely all these guys are going to be tournament plays, but the ownership that we're seeing currently, very low in one of the higher over-unders. At a two-point spread for Washington. So I love this game for tournaments. On the other side of the ball, we're looking at Washington. Westbrook, triple-double in his first game. Are you guys surprised? 9,300 against Philly, now all the way up to 10-3. Took 22 shots. He had a 38% usage rate. Bradley Beal had a 33% usage rate, I'm pretty sure. 36% usage rate, okay. And I don't have it up anymore. Let me see if I can do this really quick. That's not how you type roto. I thought I did this. I just wanted to show you guys what am I doing? Beal and Westbrook actually had a combined 24 minutes on the floor together. Pretty sure Beal had a 33% usage rate and Westbrook had a 28% usage rate. Again, I know it's just one game, but I like to look at everything that I can this season. And I need to run Westbrook and Beal both on. Yeah, so this was something. Okay, so it was Westbrook 28% usage rate, Beal 34% usage rate, 1.55 fantasy points per minute, 1.15 fantasy point per minute with Westbrook and Beal. So Beal had more of the ball in his hands, but Westbrook was doing more of the the rebounding, assisting, what have you. So yeah, it looked like they coexisted pretty well. And I'm excited to see, that backcourt, how they work moving forward. Both of them got pretty big price increases. And again, rightfully so. The pricing was so soft that night. Westbrook showing 2.1% ownership. We already know he's most likely, I would say, definitely going to sit tomorrow night in the back-to-back. I really like him for tournaments at 10-3. Again, this game has really high potential to shoot out. One of the higher over-unders. So Russell Westbrook at 2% ownership is definitely somebody I really like for tournaments. I think you can go to this game. Bertans, I was kind of hoping he sat, so it would open up some value for guys like Troy Brown. But unfortunately, he is playing, but he will have his minutes monitored or limited. I'm pretty sure he'll play between 18 and 20 minutes. Played 20 minutes against Philly. The kid can get hot, man. He's fantastic shooting threes. But yeah, kind of where I'm looking is just going to be Russ. If you want to go to Beal, I don't hate it, but I'm looking at ownership aside. Pay the $1,000 more, get Russ, another triple-double coming, and definitely a good tournament pivot at 10.3K. Philly and the Knicks. I'm worried about a blowout here, to be honest with you guys. Knicks at home, 8-point home favorites. I just really don't have too much interest in this game. Between Philly and... Thanks, Matt. Matt just texted me. He said, I'm so trash at talking NBA. between Embiid and Russ in terms of tournaments, I'd much rather go to Russ. I don't trust this game. I really think Philly's going to blow out the Knicks. Embiid could definitely dominate this game down low against the likes of Julius Randle. But Mitchell Robinson, of course, playing the 5, and Nerlens Noel too, coming off the bench. Both those guys got into foul trouble, and I don't expect anything to change. I mean, you're getting into foul trouble going up against Sabonis. Like, good luck with Joel Embiid. You think Sabonis is a handful, which he is. Sabonis is fantastic. Joel Embiid is just that much better, that much bigger, that much more of a force down low. So I think this game could definitely blow out. If you're looking at ownership percentages, why do I have the Knicks clicked off too? If you're looking at ownership percentages, I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to a guy like Tobias Harris, who struggled mightily at 6,200, got a price increase to 6,700, only shot 3 of 13 in 31 minutes. Definitely let a lot of guys down because he did carry a lot of ownership at that price tag going up against Washington in a favorable matchup. So I wouldn't mind going back to the well with Tobias Harris. But besides that, guys, I don't really have any interest in this game. The ownerships are really low, so if you do want to take some chances, sure. But like I said, if I am going to, it's going to be Tobias Harris. Wow, Aaron Gordon will remain on a minute. Okay, so Aaron Gordon's on a minutes limit. So even with the minutes limit, he did play less than his threshold because he did get in foul trouble against Miami. Doesn't really take me off of him. If he can get, so I said 36 minutes. If he can get that 32-minute mark, definitely think he hits value, and I still think he's a fantastic tournament play at 6,900. Just wanted to throw that out there because I know you guys will see that report. But remember, he played 26 minutes because he was in foul trouble. He literally played a minute and 45 seconds of the beginning of the second half, picked up 2 quick fouls, sat the rest of the third quarter. So just want to throw that out there. We do have a lot of Knicks injury news. I know Obi Toppin just got ruled out. Where else are we here? Quickly got ruled out, so that's good for a guy like Alfred Payton. Austin Rivers, you're trash. You didn't play anyways. And Toppin's out. So there is some value here on the Knicks side of the ball. Again, I think they get blown out. If I'm looking anywhere, it's going to be Alfred Payton, especially with quickly out, and it's going to be Alec Burks off the bench, who played pretty damn well. 36 DraftKings points against Indiana, played 32 minutes. And, if this game does blow out, you could see Alec Burks a lot in that fourth quarter. So that's where I would go. If I am going here, I'm looking at Alfred Payton and I'm looking at Alec Burks, especially with quickly out. People might ask about Reggie Bullock as like a last piece in cash. Sure, if you want to. Not for me. Not for me. There's too much value elsewhere. Moving on, Indiana and Chicago. We're at 6:15, so we're making some pretty good time. I got to try and pick up the pace a little bit. I ramble too much. And Matt is not here to tell me to shut up. If I'm going anywhere, it's this man. It's Domantas Sabonis. Absolute monster against the Knicks. The one thing I really liked about Sabonis in that first game was the usage rate of 31%, which was the highest on the team. I think Brogdon was second highest at 26%, if I'm right. I looked at this 24%, excuse me. Sabonis at 8,500. I still think he's far too cheap, especially against Chicago. Definitely a team we like to target in terms of bigs. Going up against Markkanen and Wendell Carter, I definitely think those are two guys you can take advantage of, especially they struggle defensively. So even though he was 7,400 against the Knicks, now 8,500 against the Bulls, definitely still love him. I like him in cash, honestly, as a last piece. Wouldn't mind starting off my builds with like Harden, Sabonis, finding some more value, or Harden, Sabonis, and Christian Wood. You might honestly be able to throw Brogdon in there if you want to. Definitely don't hate him at 7,400. I know we got some questions opening night between Brogdon and Oladipo. I said it was definitely more on Brogdon, and I think that paid off for a lot of you, I hope, at 6,200. Got a 1,200 price increase. Again, so soft on the pricing on Wednesday night. A lot of these guys are getting adjusted, rightfully so. So these are the two guys that I really like. Interesting enough, Doug McDermott actually played a ton in the second half, closing out the Knicks. And this game was actually relatively close to start the fourth quarter. Him and TJ McConnell played very well, so I would definitely keep an eye on them. Maybe some tournament plays if you want to get different there. McConnell at 4,100 and Doug McDermott at 4K. I'd lean a little bit more on Doug McDermott. I think his minutes are a little bit safer than TJ McConnell. But yeah, that's where I'm going. Sabonis, guys. I love him. Chicago, not really too much interest. Zach Levine. Let's talk about Zach Levine real quick. Got into foul trouble against Atlanta. 7,900. Only played 25 minutes. You ready for this? 41%, 40.5% usage rate. Are you kidding me? 40.5% 45% usage rate. I like Levine as a tournament play. I wouldn't go anywhere near him in cash, but like that's just absolutely insane. A 40% usage rate opening night. And again, I know it's opening night. I know that doesn't mean anything. That's why we need more sample sizes. We need more minutes to kind of see what we're actually working with. I mean, Eric Bledsoe opening night for the Pelicans at 5,600 got 34 DraftKings points. Everybody was on him on Christmas Day, including myself. And what'd he do? I mean, there's no, you got to wait and see, as the season progresses. Obviously, that 41% usage rate for Levine is going to come down, but that's crazy, that usage rate against Atlanta. I keep saying usage rate. Another guy I really like is Patrick Williams. Played the most minutes for the Bulls at 33. I think he was very productive getting his first NBA start. So I wouldn't hate him in tournaments either. But yeah, I think just tournament plays here. And if I'm going anywhere, it's going to be paying up at Zach LaVine. And guys, I keep saying spending up on tournament plays because you can do it with this Houston value. It's very easy tonight. Toronto and Matthews Spurs. Matt, I don't know if you're still in here. But yeah, you might be, you might not be. But dude, your Spurs look pretty good opening night. 131 points. I think you got something cooking over there. Looking at Toronto, the guy that I really liked opening night against the Pelicans was Fred VanVleet, who also got into foul trouble. I think he missed about 6 to 8 minutes that he potentially could have played at 6,700. Got a price increase, even though he had a terrible game. I like him again at 7,300. OG Anunoby continues to be solid for Toronto. With Ibaka out, I think that gives him more of an opportunity to rebound. He had 8 rebounds opening night, and Marc Gasol also gone at 5K, 36 minutes. The minutes are always going to be there for OG. So I definitely like him. I like him more of a tournament play. Aaron Baines, I think, looked really good against the Pelicans as well. Almost notched that double-double. Came up 1 rebound short. Paid off his price tag at 4,300. Again, at 4,200, going up against one of his former teams in the Spurs. Don't hate him as a cash play. And if he's going to play 30 minutes, I mean, we're talking about a guy that was almost 1 fantasy point per minute last year, 0.93. So for the Suns. So I don't hate Baines as well. No real interest in Siakam and Lowry. If you are playing them, wouldn't hate them, as tournament plays. But I'm going back to the well with VanVleet, especially at that ownership at 6%. I think a lot of people are going to be off of him because, he struggled and got into foul trouble. And if he can stay out of foul trouble, that's a guy that never gets into foul trouble. So if he can stay out of it, love him. Spurs, Matt, your Spurs. I mean, DeMar DeRozan was an absolute animal. Had him as one of my tournament plays against Memphis, and that definitely paid off. Almost had a triple-double. Rebound and an assist short. 28% usage rate. I really like him for tournaments. Again, LaMarcus Aldridge, man. Is he just getting old or what's happening? 3 rebounds for a big. 9 of 17 shooting. The mid-range man, him and DeRozan both. Don't really like him tonight. DeJounte Murray looked fantastic. He got north of 30 minutes finally. Played 30.5. Looked really, really sharp. 28% usage rate. 45 DraftKings points. He was one of my favorite plays again opening night against Memphis. I loved attacking that Memphis Spurs game. I think the Spurs are honestly going to play at an uptick with guys like DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, and Keldon Johnson starting. I really think they're going to look to push the pace. I like Keldon Johnson at 5K. Continuing his hot play from the bubble. Looked really good opening night against Memphis. I think I have him locked, so I'm going to unlock him. Don't tell anybody. I was locking him in some lineups. But I do like Keldon Johnson as a last piece in cash. More of a tournament play for me. But yeah, I definitely like DeRozan. I like DeJounte, and I like Keldon Johnson. And I think there's some love to be had for a guy like Lonnie Walker as well if he continues to play 35 minutes. He got the least price bump out of all these guys. So at 4,700 against Toronto, and what could be a very competitive game and a high scoring game, I think there's definitely some value here, especially some guys that are lower owned. Utah and Minnesota. We talked about Malik Beasley opening night and looked absolutely fantastic in limited time, only played 26 minutes. So if he's going to continue to be that second guy behind Cat and kind of bump D'Lo down a little bit. Wouldn't hate him as a last piece in cash if you really need to go there. But again, I think there's value. I think there's way too much value elsewhere. I'm excited to see Cat and Gobert go at it. Both of them historically have beaten the crap out of each other, and both have played very well. So I definitely like Cat as a tournament play tonight. And when I'm looking at Utah, I'm going back to Rudy Gobert. He was far too cheap against Portland at 6,800. Paid off his price tag immensely. Only got a $600 increase, so I really like him at 7,400, banging down low against Cat, somebody he's historically played well against. So I'm excited for that matchup. Royce O'Neal, 3,600, a guy that we saw last year play 36 minutes consistently. coming off a performance where he didn't have any points. Price tag stayed the same. Don't hate him as a tournament play. Also, Donovan Mitchell opened up the season at 8K. Kind of lackluster performance, so I don't hate him either. Utah 10-point favorites at home, which does scare me a little bit. So if I'm looking anywhere, it is going to be Rudy Gobert. I'm excited for that matchup against Cat. We already touched base on Houston and Portland. Houston chalk night for all of you that didn't know. Welcome, welcome. Phoenix and Sacramento, the other late night hammer. We have two 10 o'clock games tonight, which is awesome. Normally there's only one at around 10:30. This game, I also think, could potentially be a shootout. 227 over-under currently. And I had my... You're not up here anymore. Okay. I had my Vegas lines up here, but I guess I don't anymore. That's okay. So, looking on the Phoenix side of the ball, Jay Crowder obviously got his first start for Phoenix. Didn't look too hot. Excuse me. Did Jay start? Yes, he did at the 4. Okay, I just wanted to make sure he did because I thought he did. Pretty lackluster performance. At 5K, not too much interest in him. If I'm going anywhere, especially in tournaments, it's going to be Devin Booker at 9,800. Again, somebody that came out of the gate pretty slow against Dallas. I think this is more of an uptick game. I think when Dallas is playing without Porzingis, they look to slow the ball down a little bit more. Sacramento's going to get out and run, especially with a guy like Darren Fox, especially with guys like Buddy Hield. So I definitely like Devin Booker at 9,800 at a tournament play, especially carrying 4% ownership. Sign me up. DeAndre Ayton at 1% ownership. Sign me up. Got a very big price bump from 7,300 to 8,100. Only had 9 field goal attempts against Dallas. Again, lackluster performance for all the Suns against Dallas. And I feel like a lot of people are going off recency bias, but I'm cool with that. Give me DeAndre Ayton banging down low against the likes of Rashawn Holmes, Marvin Bagley. I definitely think Ayton can hold his own in those matchups, so I really like him. And these ownerships are just so low. Even Chris Paul at 5%. Again, all these guys really struggled opening night against Dallas. It was a really ugly game, low scoring. So I have interest in especially those 3 studs. On the other side of the floor, we get Sacramento. Darren Fox is somebody that I love. Night in and night out, played really well against Denver, really good defensive team. Now he gets a better matchup against Phoenix in what I think could be a really high-paced game. I really like him as a tournament play at 7,800, again at 2%. Buddy Hield showing 30%. Not too sure what that's about, but I could get behind him as a tournament play. I'm not going to go there in cash. I can guarantee you that. Marvin Bagley is somebody that we are very high on this year. 4,900 against Denver. Paid off his price tag. I think if he can hit some more shots and maybe get some more minutes, gain some more trust in the coach, definitely somebody that's going to be a cash piece for sure. But I'm all set on him right now. I know Harrison Barnes played fantastic against Denver. And when we're looking at his ownership percentage, still 1%. So if he's going to get those minutes, $700 price increase, played 42 minutes against Denver. I think that's kind of an asinine number. Definitely something he's not going to see again. But averaged 1.1 fantasy points per minute, 20% usage rate opening night. So I don't hate Harrison Barnes either. But if I'm going anywhere, it's going to be De'Aaron Fox, especially at that ownership. So that is the slate in its entirety. There are 95 of you watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble on. I'm going to go and try and pop in the questions. So that's going to bring the YouTube channel up. So I do apologize, but there's no really easy way for me to go about this. So before I do answer questions, it's Houston chalk night. I think you need a minimum of 3 of these guys in your cash lineups. If you have 4, I think you're fine. If you want to go 5, I think you're fine too. If you want to take that whole entire starting lineup, maybe without PJ Tucker, then I think that's where you want to go. You need Harden and you need Christian Wood 100% if you're playing cash. I think your next option is going to be Daniel House, and I think that 4th option is going to be Sterling Brown. I can tell you now at 6:25, so 30 minutes before the slate locks, my current cash build has Harden, has Wood, has House, and has Sterling Brown. Again, such a tight rotation with only 9 guys available. And I mean, we have Broderick Thomas, who's only projected 8 minutes. I mean, we could see Jae'Sean Tate only play 20 minutes, Nawab only play 20, and Cabell close at 18 minutes. I mean, those 4 guys that I mentioned are all going to play north of 30 minutes, the one exception being Sterling Brown, but at 3,200, far too cheap, especially alongside James Harden. From there, I'm going with this man. I'm going Sabonis. I really like what I saw with Sabonis against the Knicks, and now I think he has a far better matchup against Chicago. The usage is what I really loved, showing 31%, and I know it's only one game, but I think 8,500 is still far too cheap. Playing against Chicago, only 5-point favorites, which I also like. So that's kind of where I'm going. Those are going to be most likely my core five, I guess we would call it. And I think you have some fantastic tournament plays tonight as well because of the Houston chalk. So let's go ahead and answer some questions while we're here. TJ, you can hear me. Thank you, guys. With so many cheap options, is it okay to leave money on the table? Always okay to leave money on the table, especially when you're playing tournaments, especially big tournaments, because, if you're playing the Millie Maker or what have you, like they had on Christmas, the odds of you having the same lineup as somebody are far greater than playing, a smaller single entry. So if you're playing big tournaments, I fully advise you to leave some money on the table 100%. Fade Harden. In tournaments, if you really want to, be my guest. I'm not going to, and if you want to do it in cash, God bless you, but I suggest not. Guys, real quick, 97 of you in here watching, thank you so much. Only 12 likes. Please go ahead and smash that like button. I really appreciate it. As I die. Oh, need some water. I'm dying. Bismack, we talked about him as a last piece at 3,600. Don't hate it. What do I think about SGA today? Definitely like Horford more, but that's going to be SGA's team going forward. He's going to have to carry a bulk of that offense. So I really like him as a tournament play. Very good content. Thank you, J3. We really appreciate that here, man. OKC Thunder fan here. Get y'all some Darius Bazley. Don't hate Darius Bazley at 5K. Really don't. I think Drummond is going to smash. With Kevin Love being back, I don't really like Drummond. What is happening to the YouTube? Okay, I'm seeing this right now. Why are there 90 of me on the screen? Matt, if you could text me and tell me why I can see myself 98 times, that would be lovely, but we're just going to move past it. That is very freaky. I feel like you guys might be weed cough. No weed cough. Patrick Williams, careful on Westbrook minute restriction likely. Yep, definitely a good call, but I definitely like him for tournaments. Victor Oladipo train, no. Give me Brogdon. Shake Milton could get good run. Yeah, he got fantastic run in that first game. He actually finished I think it was the last 17 minutes of the game for Philly. So I'd look out for that again. Don't hate him as a tournament play. Patrick Williams, any love for GPPs? Yeah, I really like what I saw out of him opening night. If they can keep it competitive with Indy, I don't hate him at 4,500. Spurs blow. They do blow. Yes, don't tell Matt. On house, love that. I will not give all the way. I can't tell Matt. I can't give away all the Patreon stuff, guys. Sorry about that. Hard to fade starting at that price. Not too sure who you guys are talking about. Oh, Biombo? Okay. Fade George Hill. I don't hate him as a What is happening? Is it because I'm scrolling on the YouTube? What is happening? I don't know what's happening. Fade George Hill. You can. I don't hate him as a last piece in cash, though. I know Westbrook should contend for a triple-double like usual for GPP. Would Westbrook be a good pivot for Harden? Yes, but I think it's going to be really hard to get away from Harden tonight in tournaments. But if you can, I don't hate it. I just think it's very dangerous, especially with the tight rotation. And, there aren't too many scorers on that team right now outside of Harden. And I guess you could consider Christian Wood one. Do you do live streams every day? Yes, Nova, we do live streams every single night before lock, depending on when the NBA slate locks. So tonight, obviously, I'm here now. We have a football live stream tomorrow before the main slate in NFL. I am just freaking out looking at the YouTube channel and seeing the thousands of me. It's kind of scary. It does look very trippy. So I don't know what's happening, and Matt hasn't texted me, so Matt's gone. The pronunciation of Caboclo is killing me. That's the way I'm going to do it. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that's what it is. Josh Jackson, a nice play at 4,500. Yeah, Josh Jackson actually got some fantastic run for Detroit opening night. He played 32 minutes, I'm pretty sure. Okay, 29 minutes. Looked really good off the bench. So, yeah, I don't hate him in tournaments at all. Showing 1% ownership. There's so many guys that are showing such low ownership because of this the Houston news. So I definitely think that fading Houston in tournaments could pay off immensely. I know we just got the question about Harden and Westbrook. If you want to fade Harden, yeah, Harden's probably going to be 40 to 50% owned in tournaments. So if you want to get different, Westbrook potentially having his minutes limited, especially because of the back-to-back. Most likely not going to play tomorrow night, so I wouldn't be surprised if Brooks rolls him out for his 36 minutes. I really wouldn't. But yeah, I think you could do that if you want to. I just don't know, because I just think Harden's in such a good spot with all these guys being out. So will I fade Harden in some tournaments? For sure. But will I have my fair share of Harden ownerships in tournaments? Definitely. 100%. Bertans, 18 to 20 minutes. Yes, thank you. Thoughts on Embiid and the OKC starters? I touched base on them. I really like Al Horford. He's my favorite OKC starter, especially playing at his traditional position at the 5. I don't really like Embiid that much tonight at 10-2. He got the price increase, and, they are such heavy favorites. They're 8-point favorites against the Knicks, so I definitely think they could blow out. But going up against the likes of Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel, 2 guys that can get into foul trouble early, I think Embiid could definitely take advantage of that, and I'm pretty sure he had the highest usage rate as well. I think it was somewhere around, 28% usage rate. So he demanded the ball, and he was fantastic opening night. So I don't hate Embiid as a tournament play, but I would rather go Westbrook. Let's see, what else do we got, guys? J3, I may end up subscribing. Yeah, man, come on to Patreon. For those of you who aren't Patreon members, you can find it in the description below. $20 gets you access to every single sport that we cover. NFL coming to a close, but NBA is our bread and butter. I know Kevin's been crushing it in MMA, but unfortunately MMA is on a little bit of a sabbatical here for these next, I think Kevin said this week and next. But we have plenty of sports starting up here soon. So yeah, come on over to Patreon. I promise it's fantastic. Get you an invite also to the Discord, which is just a bunch of guys talking DraftKings, which is all you really want in life, right? Booker, Beal, Mitchell, go. I would go Beal if anything. I do like Booker in tournaments as well. I'm not too high on Mitchell, honestly. I think it's a really tough matchup for him tonight. If you don't play Harden, I'm playing either Westbrook or Lillard. I like it, Joe. I like both of them. Who's my fave under 5K? My fave guy under 5K. So in terms of cash, I would say Daniel House. In terms of tournaments, I would say Kendall Johnson, honestly. Excuse me, Mason Plumlee and Daniel House in terms of cash. I think both of them are cash viable. But in terms of tournaments, I would go Kendall Johnson. How do I feel about Markkanen and GPPs? Markkanen looked really good opening night. I think this is a really tough matchup for him down low against Sabonis. Obviously that's going to be a handful for him and Wendell Carter. So I got the price increase as well at 6,400. So I'm off of him. It was 4,800 against Atlanta. Sign me up. At 6,400, I'm going to stay clear. Did I mention Mason Plumdog? No, I didn't. Again, another great option along with Jackson out of Detroit. Yeah, I did talk about him. 1.1 fantasy point per minute opening night. He's a 1.01 fantasy point per minute player, including last year. So yeah, if he's going to play 32 minutes, I really like him. Harrison Barnes. Touch base on him. Looked fantastic opening night. I wouldn't expect him to play 40 minutes again like he did, but I definitely don't hate him. You like D'Lo and GPP? No, I'd rather go to Malik Beasley, honestly. Buddy Hield, I'd rather go to Darren Fox. A lot of people are liking Hield for cash. I guess if he's a last piece, fine. But in terms of tournaments, I'm going to Darren Fox. I'm trying to find some money elsewhere and save at some other positions. Rozier, Hayward, or Graham? Gordon Hayward. 10 out of 10 times. I know Rozier had a freak game. I don't expect that to continue. So I lean Gordon Hayward. Would it be crazy to put both Sabonis and Turner against the Bulls bigs? I'd rather go Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon. And I understand Malcolm Brogdon isn't a big, but you could get away with it, Joe, if you really want to. What is Turner's price? Is he, for some reason, I'm seeing 6K. Okay, he's 6K. Yeah, it's a fantastic matchup down low for those guys. So I wouldn't hate it. But if I'm going anywhere from the Pacers, I know it's, I'm taking the 2 highest priced guys, but those are the two bread and butter players with Sabonis and Brogdon. Again, this YouTube thing is freaking me out right now. I don't know what's happening. I got to look at one text from Matt, guys. Excuse me. TJ, when you're done with the live stream, can you check the copy you recorded to see if all of them skipped like that? Okay, apparently I might be skipping, guys. Or he's talking about something else, not too sure. Barrett or Murray? I'm assuming you're talking DeJounte Murray. I would go DeJounte Murray. Where's the awesome dog of yours? Chips! Chips just walked onto the couch. Amanda, can you bring Chips over here real quick? The stream wants to see it. You guys want to see my my 3-month corgi here? This is my son, Chips. Hi, Sano. Yeah, Culver or Thomas? I like Culver. Come here, buddy. This is my pupper. This is Chips, my son. He's 3 months. He's a corgi. And he's the handsomest guy ever. Say hi, buddy. Show him your eyes. Okay. There's my son. You're not going to take him back? Okay. All right, guys. 6:36. I got to hit the Discord. I got to finish finalizing my lineups. I'm sorry if this was a mess. Again, normally we have Matt here. And, you know, huge shout out to Matt being able to do this by himself night in and night out. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. There was about 110 of you here at one point, so I really appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're not. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning for the NFL live stream, and I know we got NBA again tomorrow night. So pumped that NBA is back. If you guys have any questions, feel free, if you are a Patreon member, to @ me in the Discord. We got 23 minutes before lock. Yes, math is hard. So with all that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed the stream, and let's cash. How does Matt do this? How do you do this, Matt? You go to end stream. End stream. Okay, bye, guys.